No better way to start the day than to tear shit up.
The new countertop is cut to size and secured in place.
Let's bring this party inside for a minute. Are you ready?
Have you ever been curious about how to repaint a cabinet? Well, sit your ass down. You ain't gonna learn nothing by swiping away.
The original finish on the vanity cabinet is brown, old, worn, dingy, and has some bare spots in the clear coat. So the customer has asked us to bring new life to it by updating the hardware and color to match the new countertop a bit better.
We start by removing the drawers and door, and setting them up outside to give us plenty of room to sand, primer, and paint all of the cabinet components at the same time.
What we're going to do is we're going to sand this out, get that finish off of there, using 60 grit sandpaper. It's an old finish, so it's coming off pretty easily.
We are using a cordless orbital sander which will distribute the sanding with a smoother result. 60 grit sandpaper is commonly used to remove material. However, due to the age and wear of the finish, it appears a finer grit would be sufficient. Changing the sanding pad regularly will allow for more efficient sanding, and the used pads can then be utilized in harder to reach places by hand.
I'm going to take the used one and get all of the little edges, as long as that clear coat is gone.
Since the new color will be darker than the existing color, it will only be necessary to remove the clear coat finish. If a lighter color will be used as the new finish, it is suggested that as much of the existing color coats are removed completely.
We could always sandblast them or even pressure wash them. That'll take the finish coat off real quick.
Joseph, I am uncertain if I will ever understand your overkill mentality as being a useful asset on a job site, or, in my honest opinion, regarding most circumstances.
Well, just think of me as someone who has a special set of skills.
Yeah, you're something special, all right, but not in the way you're thinking. Anyway, if the sandpaper is difficult to get into the inside corners, a scraper can be used to scrape out the clear coat. Just be careful not to gouge the surface when you do it. And since we're replacing the handles on the cabinet faces with the handles that don't line up anymore, we're filling in the existing screw holes with wood putty and making sure we fill the holes the best we can. Once it's dry, we'll sand it down flush and we'll be ready for primer. Now's the time to start priming this cabinet. You want to mask off where you don't want the paint, and for the larger areas, you'll want to use a sponge roller, and wherever possible, you want to use sponge brushes because this is a flat surface, so you're going to want to go as flat a texture as possible. The sponge brushes and the sponge rollers will give you that. However, you can also use fine bristle brush, preferably soft, and that will give you somewhat of the same results. Don't have those, but don't have that type of brush, you'll want to go back and just kind of roll out any texture that may have been left behind by the brush with the sponge roller. And that will eliminate any kind of texture that you may create based on that. And we're actually going to paint inside of this, even though we're not going to see it. We want to give it just a finishing touch by having it there. There we go. We're going to head outside now to primer the drawers and the door.
After sanding the cabinets and cabinet door and drawer faces, it is important to wipe the surfaces with a damp cloth to remove any foreign debris and dust before applying the primer. This will minimize the chances of an uneven surface. The purpose for the stain-blocking primer is to create a layer between the surface of the cabinet components and the color coat, regardless of the condition of the surface, allowing the color coats to adhere more evenly and consistently.
Now with this one here, the door, we want to start with the back side and then make our way to the front after this is dry. And once this side is set up, turn it around and then paint the front side. The reason we're doing the back side first, then those imperfections are on the back of the door and not on the front of the door. All right, we'll let all that dry. Now for the cabinet painting. What we're going to be using is an interior-exterior high gloss enamel in black, and it's going to look really good when we're done. Again, what we want to use as far as an applicator is either a foam brush or a very, very fine, soft bristle brush to do the cut in. And then we want to use a foam roller for all of the field. And it doesn't have to be perfect coverage just yet because it is the first coat.
Each color coat should be applied in thin multiple coats to avoid drips and runs. Sanding between each coat is also highly suggested. This will give the finished surface a more uniform look.
To kind of touch on the topic of installing cabinet hardware, there's usually going to be a template provided in the package, which will help in marking for the screw holes. We're going to be putting these in about the same location as they were before, and the screws provided are usually only long enough for newer cabinets. If you're reusing older cabinets, you'll need to purchase longer screws for them to reach through both layers of your drawers. Did I pass out again? What'd I miss? It looks like we've got paint on the walls, we got a backsplash in, and we got new flooring. What the heck's going on? Oh, come on, Bubba. You should know by now. We're going to save that for another Captain Shorts.